Got a truth bomb to drop. Guys, if you think that men control a relationship, when you have a man and a woman in a committed relationship, if you think the man is in control, the man is at the steering wheel, the man is guiding the course of the relationship, you're living in fantasy. It's not how nature works. The woman always decides. The woman always controls. And the man fantasizes and pretends that he's dominating the woman, that he's wearing the pants. Any relationship where the woman is not in control won't last. 100% of the time. In nature. It only exists when the man is in a state of fantasy that he's in control, and the woman will pretend like she'll go along with his chauvinistic jokes and everything, but deep down she knows she's at the steering wheel, she's at the head of the ship. It's fantasy and deception. The man fantasizes, the female deceives. That's how it all works, really, if you want to sum it up. The problem with the relationship, though, is that women exist with hypergamy, which is they always want better, they always want more. It's just in their nature. It's not to their fault. It's just the way women, that gender, is created and designed. So, if you're not continually advancing, continually bringing in more, continually going up the totem pole, then you're not going to last long. And I mean, in this day and age, 7 billion people on the planet, there's always going to be some guy who's better than you at something. And this is why relationships aren't working. This is why there's such a divide between the genders. And I'm probably going too deep for many people right now, but I'm going to drop another truth bomb here. It was manufactured that way. There's a tactic called divide and conquer. Research it. And it's being used against men and women. We're not supposed to be at such a clash, at such a divide as we are in today's present society. And society is unnatural. Cities are unnatural. The systems that we live in are unnatural. Working 40 hours a week, a job you hate, to make demon coins, to impress people you don't give a shit about, it's not natural. And the system has also manipulated women. Women are actually the ones who have been under attack. I mean, men are under attack too and taken advantage of, but all you have to do is get control of the woman, and then you control the society, because the women control the men. Ultimately, women control men, where men do not control. If you think men control women, you're an idiot. You think you got game, man? No. That's not the way your gender was created by nature. Alright? You weren't created to manipulate and deceive. Unless you're a fucking aberration, an abomination. You get a lot of women who aren't really women and men who aren't really men. So, but by nature, and again, going into another, boom, let's drop another truth bomb right now. There is an agenda that exists. It's called the Androgynous Agenda. Okay? And it seeks to blur the lines between man and woman, to create a society where there is no need for men, that women don't need men anymore. They rely on the state, on statism. Look up what statism is. This is also unnatural and not in alignment with nature, or harmony, or anything healthy and good and positive. It stems ultimately to authority, which is just bullshit. It's just a bullshit lie. It's just a lie that some people are genetically given the right to rule over other people. That's a lie. That's a satanic lie. A lot of people fall for it. A lot of people are Satanists, don't know it. So, going back to my original point, men and women right now are butting heads, and it's not their fault. It was prefabricated. It was created this way. And this stems back to Agenda 21 and the culling of humanity, which is happening right now. Because we're moving into a technocracy. We're moving into the age of change. This 21st century, the psychopaths who I've studied in depth for the past 3 years. It's been my passion, is to understand the psychos that control the world. And again, it's a disease. It's a mental disease that they have. And it creates a lot of damage, as you can see. But anyways, they have created the bickering because they don't want families. They don't want us to live at our highest vibratory selves, because then they can't profit and control us. It's all about control for them. All about control. And again, they think they have this divine right to control the herd and guide its progress, when they don't realize that true evolution is evolution of the conscious, is consciousness or awareness raising up to higher levels of empathy. That is true evolution. They're in a survival mode evolution, which again, it's applied to Darwin. Darwin used his theories of natural selection and evolution. He applied that to the animal kingdom, okay? Humans are more than animals. Here's another satanic law you're going to get. We're just animals. You and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals. Let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel. What a crock of shit. We're much higher than that. We have a thing called conscious. We have a thing called philosophy, which is the greatest fucking study and work ever brought into this world, is philosophy. To be able to study wisdom. That is the pinnacle of human consciousness. And again, today it's completely disregarded, because we're moving out of that. We're moving into the new plan that the psychopaths have for us, which will merge machine with man and create this utopia of peace. Their fucking utopia of peace. Not the average person's, okay? The average person don't give a fuck about. Government doesn't give a fuck about the average person. Police don't give a fuck about the average person. Doctors don't give a fuck about the average person. Teachers don't give a fuck about the average person. It's all moolah. It's all demon coins. Demon coins. That's what it is. And again, women have been attacked. And it's the job of a man to protect. A real man, a true man, has a very protective nature. If you don't have this, again, you're some kind of fucking abomination. You're not a real man. And the psychopaths, they understand human psychology very fucking well. I'll give them credit. They're fucking intellectual. And they act like no one's business, man. When they say they're going to do something, they fucking do it. And I respect them. I can respect an enemy in that way. But I also know that they're mentally ill. They have no heart. They have no heart. It's just mind and action. Skull and bones. The brain to think it out, and the bones to do it. No heart. And what they want, ultimately, is a society where they have complete control. They are gods. And this goes back to the Bible. And if you really study the Sumerian and Babylonian texts, and you study the true origins of humanity, you know, we didn't come from, people think we evolved from monkeys. Our DNA has a lot of the hominid genes in it, but there's a very different story if you really go deep. And I'm not going to go into that now, but if you're a guy and you're struggling in a relationship, realize it's not your fault. It's not her fault. I mean, I'm not trying to absolve anyone of responsibility, because ultimately we have free choice at the end of the day. And that's another lie that they'll tell you, is that you don't have, that it's deterministic. Everything's deterministic. Your genes determine everything. You don't have a choice. That's a satanic lie. That's peddled from the top to make you accept and not break free from your base instincts. You know, this base brain back here that has most of the power, we have this neocortex up here, this prefrontal region, which is the top-down brain, which is conscious awareness. It takes up a lot more focused energy and effort when we use this part of our brain. This is sort of our bottom-up brain, which is it's kind of the default, you know, your unconscious brain, which, you know, you go on pilot mode. And it also helps you rapidly perform things on a day-to-day basis that you've mastered and that now don't require much energy. But when anytime you're learning something new, for example, you're using this prefrontal area, and because you really have to focus and think, right? But once you do it enough times, it gets moved to the back, and it becomes like, you know, you can do something with your eyes closed once you become good enough at it. So if we stay in this base consciousness part of our brain, in our reptilian brain, in our mammalian brain, we're going to create a whole lot of hurt, a whole lot of pain. But if we rise to our higher brain, which is fucking hard, I'm not going to lie, that's what I'm trying to do, the world will change. And that's sort of the journey we're on right now as a species. And it all starts with knowledge and really reprogramming yourself, because we've been programmed with junk. And if people don't accept that their programming was indoctrination and propaganda to keep them at a certain level their whole life, and to keep them from developing a strong family unit, just to keep them relying on the state, to go from one partner to the next, and before you know it, you're all used up and you're just like completely relying on the government and the state. And for men, it's really dangerous. The state has been created against you, because men have the power to change the system. So sorry, this is one of my original points. I'm bouncing all over the place. But men have the power to fight and revolt. And the psychopaths know this. So they are trying to emasculate men. They're trying to get women to breed with the kind of men who just are good boys to the system. And usually those people, they don't have that fight in them, that fire to want to stand up against evil, stand up against wrongdoing. You know, Albert Einstein said, all that it takes for evil to flourish is for good men to do nothing. Because it's the men that always went to war, the men that always stood up and rose up against tyrants, against evil. If they emasculate men, if they destroy us to the point of where we cannot act, then, and they're also using eugenics, using money, because again, not always, but usually the kind of guys that have men, they go with the system. Sorry, the kind of men that have money go with the system. So if you're going with the system is going to reward you and let you reproduce, have children. Get it? If you're against the system, you're not going to make any money unless you're, I mean, you can. There are ways. I'm not saying it's impossible. Again, that's deterministic. You have to innovate your way out. Innovate out. And a lot of good guys do this, you know? But if you're staying in the system, you're going to find that there's corruption everywhere, at every level. And the system will reward you. And if you have the right genes, the obedient genes that don't question anything, don't look deeper than the surface, then that's the kind of people they want reproducing. But right now they're at the state where they don't even need people anymore. So that's why you're seeing this whole environmentalism uprise. This came from somewhere. Okay, this didn't just people just think shit. Just it's like the atheists. They think the whole universe just fucking it just came. It just appeared. You know, they're mentally ill, these people. I shouldn't be laughing, but they're mentally ill. And this environmentalism agenda, I wrote my thesis on it. I took my 4-year degree in environmental studies. I wrote my thesis on the IPCC. Even back then, man, I was a little fucking truther and I didn't even know it. I was critiquing the IPCC. I got a fucking B- on this paper because my prof was like, this is bullshit. Like, what are you doing? Critiquing the International Panel on Climate Change. How could you say that human-induced climate change, carbon, is not the cause of global warming? You know? And I was basically taking it from a political angle saying, no, this whole organization is fucking corrupt. It's corrupt. And these findings, I'm coming across real climatologists because I had my mentor, he was a geologist. So you need to get a professor who guides the writing of your paper. And he was like, no, human causes are not the #1 source. There's a natural cycle in the universe and the planet takes. And it's based on many other things. I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't problems to do with pollution and, you know, just destruction of the rainforest and all of these natural resources. Definitely. But the main source causing this is not people causing the climate on the earth to change. It's not human cause. And there are many scientists who are just completely ignored. Their studies and their findings are ignored. Something people don't know, actually the #1 greenhouse gas isn't carbon, it's water vapor. And where does that come from? Our oceans. So, I mean, people really need to go deeper than the surface. You know, you have the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg pointing out. That's all people see. They don't see the big fucking mass underneath the water. But they just see the tip and they're like, oh yeah, that's the truth. I'm not going to go deeper into it. But this has been a crazy rant. I'm going to end it here and hope to meet some like-minded truthers out there. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.